Alright guys, TacticalRab here and today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and wow, things got pretty interesting last night. Of course, New York subliners had a very difficult time against Atlanta FaZe yesterday, and Clayster stepped out of the team not too long ago now. Lots of speculation about exactly why. Asim had something to say on the situation last night, most certainly. And tweeting your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you were new as always, I greatly appreciate it. Really upside the channel, thank you very much indeed for doing that. First of all, just wanted to run through this series once again. I mean, it was one of the more dominant ones. Thought it was kind of funny in a way that the series almost was exactly the same as Seattle versus LAG in terms of the scoreboards. New York just looks so lost, to be honest, without Clayster, and well, that's certainly a topic of discussion in the coming minutes, because some people are arguing right now that Clayster actually deliberately decided to step out of this team in a way to say, look, you guys are nothing without me, in a sense, as we'll look at right here in a second. First of all, though, let's see how things finished off yesterday. So this is, well, how the situation transpired in terms of the group standings. Group A was already set before yesterday. Group B, though, the Dallas Empire victory gave them the #1 seed. That means Rokkr in third because they win the tiebreaker over the Mutineers. Toronto Ultra, of course, in second. That means that this is well, these are the point standings right now. So, of course, the top 8 are still going to make it to the World Championship. The bottom 4 just so bad, they're not even close. But you've actually got Minnesota Rokkr right here in that 6th seed that makes the winners bracket for the Major, for the World Championship, only 20 points ahead of Thieves, and then now 30 points ahead of the Mutineers. So Rokkr have it in their hands to, well, it's theirs to lose, right, that 6th spot, but Thieves only have to outplace them by a couple of places, and they can definitely overhaul them in that sense. And then it will come down to map win percentage possibly, and I think maybe Thieves, if they do win a couple of more series than Rokkr do, they should have a better map win percentage. So things get pretty interesting in terms of the tiebreakers if Thieves can catch up. But obviously FaZe are going to be #1 here, and Empire take it, well, they're in the driver's seat now to get the 2nd seed for champs, which is pretty important. Still, I think technically maybe possible for OpTic, but actually no, it won't be possible anymore for OpTic, because Empire will get a fair few points for actually, well, even starting in that winners round 2, as they will do, to get all the way to that 2nd seed I was talking about. So more than likely, it's subliners versus OpTic in the very first round of the playoffs, that bracket, and the winner of that will end up playing FaZe. But before then, of course, we've got the Major, and well, this is the bracket for the Major. Sorry if I was a bit confusing there. This is how things are going. So, of course, OpTic and Empire, the 2 teams that we discussed last night, those are the squads that have the buys. It's not something I would have predicted necessarily, but here we are. Now, winners round 1, you've got Ultra versus Thieves. That honestly is going to be a really interesting game. I think that Toronto should be favourites, but who knows what Thieves can do. They had a good result just a couple of days ago. If they come in with the same killer mindset they seem to have map 3, 4, 5 against OpTic, I think they can certainly get the job done. In a sense, though, could be a good loss for Ultra, because that means they now, well, they're not in a situation where they have to play FaZe on this side of the bracket, potentially. What could be a very hot FaZe indeed if they come off that Rokkr victory. But Empire on this side, they're going to be on the FaZe side of the bracket. And down here, of course, we've got, well, some of the worst teams in the league. But Ravens, to be fair to them, actually finished above New York in the bracket, which is pretty crazy to think about. The 4 teams in losers round 1 are the 4 bottom teams in the league, apart from Ravens, and subliners are actually there instead. The winner of that plays Mutineers after they kind of threw away a decent chance they had once again of making the winners bracket over the Major. But yeah, New York versus LAG to start things off. Pretty crazy to think about if you'd have said, well, during stage 4 at the start, especially the start of the stage 4, the end of stage 3, for example, that, well, just a couple of stages later, it'd be New York versus Los Angeles Guerrillas in elimination round 1. And I said, what are you talking about? But that is exactly the case. And well, as you can see right here, just wanted to mention quickly the Los Angeles Thieves roster moves this season, because I thought this was pretty remarkable. 8 roster changes this entire time. They've, well, done more than any other team, it seems. And especially when the off-season comes, who knows what else will happen there. And I was kind of impressed by these statistics, to be honest. The fact that Drazah went 12 in 27 the first couple of maps, and then since then, well, he went at 1.21, and Kenny had a 1.32 in the last few maps they played as well. First 2 maps, I was going for a world record. I've got a nice little profile picture out of it, most certainly, as well. Let's talk then about this whole subliner situation then, because this has been really confusing to a lot of people as of late. Of course, subliners come out a couple of weeks ago now and say, look, Clayster's going to be taking some time off from the league to take care of his mental health and just reset. And effectively, they said in their statement initially, he's just going to be taking a break for this week of matches. But it seemed so unreasonable, right, that he would just take a break for this very 1 week, then come back in for the Major, and then like hop in for the World Championship or something. The issue is really for me, for Clayster, is that, look, he's the reigning world champion 2 years in a row. Like, he's won it the last 2 World Championships that have been here. Like, it'd be such a shame not to see him at champs. But the fact that this has transpired as it has seems very unlikely that he will be back for that event, I would say. And, you know, he's off to, you know, recover, or wherever he's exactly off to Cancun or something, as people tend to like to say on the timeline. So this is what they said, I mean, on the 20th of July, and actually only 6 days ago. Part of the balance of competing at the highest level is knowing when to recharge. Clay will be taking a break from competition this week, with DiamondCom stepping in for the series, so taking a break from competition this week. That's what they said at the time, and Clay said, look, I haven't been myself in quite some time, got to take care of myself, take a step back, and set myself straight mentally. And as we talked about yesterday, there's been some people saying, look, is this the real reason, right? Did they actually want to get rid of him? Was the rest of the squad fed up of Clayster? Was or whatever the reason exactly was? It's been very difficult to say. So on the flank last night, they were trying to dig into exactly what is going on here. And well, this is what Enable has to say on this situation. Of course, ZooMaa and Enable, Ben couldn't make it unfortunately, but Enable was a great co-host in his place, most certainly. And well, ZooMaa and Enable teamed with Clayster for quite a long time on the team with Attach, right, the FaZe Clan team from back in the day. They kind of know what he's like. And Enable's like, look, initially he didn't really think that, because ZooMaa was kind of making the argument like, look, maybe Clayster just decided to step away to kind of teach them a lesson in a way and be super petty about it. And then Enable's like, look, I don't really think that he could be that petty, but then he kind of entertains it as a possibility. And then Asim comes in the chat and says, look, that actually pretty much is exactly how it was. I'll share the clips for you guys on screen.
I don't think Clay would be that petty, because if that was the case, then in my opinion, that's disrespectful. Like, we could speculate, you know, if his mental isn't there and he's struggling, and it could maybe be something outside of gaming. Like, that's understandable. But if he just quit on them because they weren't listening, or like they're making the same mistakes, that is that's. I'll be honest.
Can I say
now,
something?
I don't know what it was, but if that is the case,
it's a lot of situations where he's gotten screwed over. There's a lot. But anyways, and he's played through.
What did Asim just say?
And he's played through a lot of them. But like for Clay, I think, you know, taking the tough decision to take a break, it's still quitting though, right? So I mean, at the same time, you have to make the tough decision to focus on your mental health. It comes with people being like, you quit on the team. So for him, it's like, take your time. We all respect it, but you still quit. And that's just the way I look at it. It's pretty simple.
Okay, well, go ahead, Lamar.
You go, Thomas.
I mean, I was gonna say
what Asim said.
Well, Asim said that's exactly what it was, Ian. But whatever, I'm gonna keep pushing.
Wait, what did Ian say?
That's as simple as that. He quit on him. Then I've said that, or it was what Tommy said. If he just was fed up because the team wasn't listening, they weren't doing well.
Oh my God!
And it's almost like I'm gonna take a step back, hoping that they almost get shit on to be like, now y'all know you need me.
Wait, what did Asim exactly say?
What I just
that's
said.
exactly what it was.
Wow.
I mean, listen, man. I
you
don't
just dropped that in the chat.
Listen, man. I don't like.
And then he said, "I'm gonna keep up with it."
Oh my God.
So if you guys didn't quite catch it while the clip was playing, this is what Asim had to say. That's exactly what it was, Ian, that being Enable, of course, but whatever, I'ma keep pushing. So straight drops this one in the chat. Pretty crazy to think about. Of course, Enable has come in the reply and says, look, to be clear, I said I didn't think Clay would do that, but that is, well, at least what is being implied by Asim right now. That, well, as Enable kind of went on to describe just after the fact that maybe Clayster decided, look, these guys, that there would be nothing without me. Let me just take a break and show them, like, you know, what they're missing, I suppose, because maybe they were getting frustrated with Clayster's, of course, this is all speculation, but maybe they were getting frustrated with how Clayster was dealing with the team and dealing with the difficult times and the mistakes they were making and getting frustrated with them in practice, and then they were kind of thinking, all right, you know, maybe we just get rid of Clayster or something, and then maybe that was a bit of a discussion, then Clay just comes out and says, yeah, okay, well, whatever, I'm just going to leave and recharge a little bit, and you guys can go on to get, you know, demolished by FaZe, when they actually had a great record against FaZe so far this year, the only team to beat them twice on the entire season, so pretty remarkable stuff. Of course, the question then comes out as a result, what the hell do New York do next season, but also for the rest of this season? Like, I can't imagine the rest of the squad want Clay back. That's the issue. Like, it doesn't seem to me like Asim is particularly keen to get Clayster back into the team, but, well, of course, that's just a perspective of what we're seeing right now, but, look, who knows, right? Does Clay come back in for the World Championship or for the Stage 5 Major? I highly doubt that. The problem is, of course, that, I'm not even sure if they can necessarily get DiamondCon over to the US, as, well, ZooMaa was saying right here, him returning is actually a very real possibility, or at least was a very real possibility. I'll play this for you guys on screen right now.
Listen, I'll take it.
You need to be the leader for him.
Do you know that was the first thing I said to him? I was like, no, listen.
Of course it was, my guy.
No, listen, I was like, what are you guys gonna do? And they're like, we're trying to get DiamondCon because he's our only sub. Rosters are locked, but he has no visa and he's stuck in Canada. And I was like, well, do you all need me to do a 14-day? And they were like, maybe. Like, we might have to bring you in. Like, we might only be able to pick up a free agent. I'm pretty sure they were actually down. Like, they were actually down to do it. But then they ended up, I think they're working with DiamondCon. Like, they're trying to get him now. And even if they did have to get a free agent. I don't know how it works because rosters are locked. Apparently, they would have to. They would have to file to get a
I'm
free
sure
agent.
the league would make an exception
they
if
have
the
to,
guy
they,
can't
they
literally
have to
make
submit
it
some
to the
type
tournament.
of form to the league.
But after this all concludes, what happens going forward, right? If Clayster doesn't come back, what does Subliners decide to do next season? Do they build around Clayster once again? Do they decide to go down a different route, right, and keep Asim and Hydra or whatever they're thinking, right? If they don't want to have Clayster on the team, like, what does it mean, right? Because Clayster throughout his entire career keeps getting dropped after seasons, every single time it feels like. Now, of course, this season, well, he was hoping it would be different, right? He was hoping that he'd be able to stay on this team for the entire season and for the rest of his career. Maybe that will indeed be the case, or maybe he won't come back at all. So many questions right now, but really interesting, to be honest, to hear what Asim had to say and some of the speculation regarding what went on with the New York team. Because if there was one time that this, well, you wouldn't really want it to happen, it was exactly now with the World Championship just around the corner. And well, it would be a shame if Clayster doesn't get the opportunity to go for the back-to-back-to-back, but it's seeming increasingly likely by the day at this point. And what Subliners even do right now at the major, when, well, can Diamondcon get out there? They're trying to work through the visa situation, as ZooMaa was saying, but it's possible they even get him on a 14-day, right? Or there's some sort of exemption that they have to have because rosters are locked, right? So if you had to bring on like a substitute, like bring Decimate back in or something like that, then of course rosters are locked. So I'm not exactly sure how easy it is to do that. So lots of questions and concerns really, just at the worst possible time for all this drama to go down with the New York Subliners. But it's certainly something to talk about here on the tunnel. And as I wanted to point out right here, Champs is not long around the corner. It's only like 3 or so weeks away. It's tough to see Clayster returning at this point. Just wanted to finish off the video with this because we looked at this yesterday, right? This sign on standoff that people were mind blown actually was there back in the day and is still indeed there today. As Nature says, continues on the same line as what Nameless said yesterday. I'm in disbelief. There's no way this sign was in the original Black Ops 2 standoff. Greatest example of the Mandela effect that I've ever witnessed. 100% bro, this was not there. Yesterday, Indigo's Yo Porter. Has this always been here? I think they added it in the new update. I looked at the pic and was like, honestly, I have no idea. Post that ASAP. It'll be like the Lamar's Forest, right, which is the Ardennes Forest stuff with the trees. Lamar's Forest is / Lamar Betty single-handedly held off the Axis forces despite overwhelming odds of the Battle of the Bulge on December 16, 1944. You know Crimsix watches all these like World War II history shows, don't you? It's just an absolutely classic stuff. But anyway, intrigued to hear your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. Really helps out the YouTube algorithm to know you enjoy this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and I'll grow the competitive quality of the community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.